I think it admits of historical proof that the Church of Rome has shrunk with the greatest timidity from exercising this gift of infallibility on any question which had not already settled itself without her help, and that on several occasions where the Pope has ventured to make decisions, these decisions are now known to have been wrong, and the case has to be met by pitiable evasions. The Pope was not speaking ex cathedra. That is to say, he had guided the Church wrong only in his private, not his professional capacity. Let us examine, then, by the evidence of facts, whether the Church of Rome believes her own claim to infallibility. Acting is the test of belief. If a quack claimed to have a universal medicine warranted to cure all diseases, we should not need to inquire into the proofs of its virtues if we saw his own children languishing in sickness and found that he never tried his medicine on them. If an alchemist asserted that he possessed the philosopher's stone and could turn the baser metals into gold, his pretensions would be disposed of if we saw his own family starving, and that he made no attempt to make any gold to relieve them. So, when we find in the bosom of the Church of Rome disputes and perplexities as in other churches, that the infallible authority is not invoked to solve them, that its interference is late and vacillating, and sometimes erroneous, have we not a right to conclude that the Church of Rome herself does not believe in the infallibility which she claims? But really, I must first say a few words on the question. Does she claim it? Some of you may chance to have met a book by a Mr. Seymour called Mornings with the Jesuits, in which the author gives his own report of conferences which he held with the Jesuit fathers at Rome, who unsuccessfully attempted his conversion. On one occasion, they used the syllogism, "A church which does not claim infallibility cannot be a true church. The Church of England does not claim infallibility, therefore cannot be a true church." They expected him, of course, to deny the major, and were prepared to carry on the controversy accordingly. But Mr. Seymour handed them back their syllogism with the word England erased and Rome substituted. He asked them for proof that the Church of Rome ever claimed infallibility. "Of course I allow," he said, "that individual theologians ascribe to her this attribute, but prove to me that she has ever ascribed it to herself in any authoritative document." I own I was not without suspicion that Mr. Seymour had dressed up his tale a little when he described the consternation and perplexity into which the Jesuits were thrown by his assertion that the Trent Decrees contained no claim to infallibility. But it so happened that in the course of events, the Jesuits were expelled from Rome, and one of Mr. Seymour's two antagonists came to England, where Mr. Capes made his acquaintance. He describes him as a most fair-minded and honest man, and an excellent specimen of a well-instructed Jesuit, as might have been expected from his having been chosen to argue with a controversial English clergyman on a visit to Rome. And he told Mr. Capes that it was quite true that he had never taken notice of the absence of the claim from the Trent Decrees until it was pointed out to him in this discussion. Mr. Fawkes, also, another who, like Mr. Capes, made the journey to Rome and back, states that he was never asked to accept this doctrine when he joined the Church of Rome, and that if he had been asked, he would perhaps not have joined her. All he was required to admit was the supremacy of the Roman See. I will not anticipate discussions that may hereafter come before us by examining what exactly these words mean, or whether anything else in a formal document of the Roman Church amounts to a claim of infallibility. For practically, the Church of Rome at the present day certainly does claim infallibility. The arrogance of her language admits of no other interpretation. And therefore I do not class this question with the others I am about to bring under your notice, in which the Roman trumpet gives an uncertain sound. If the doctrine of infallibility were much insisted on in sermons by Roman Catholic preachers, but if their controversialists shrank from defending it against Protestants, if they treated it as one of those things not de fide, which were asserted by vehement and hot-headed theologians, but which the calm voice of the Church had abstained from pronouncing on, then we might taunt the professed guide with being unable to tell us the extent of his powers. But at present it is quite unjust to accuse him of any modest reticence as to the extent of his prerogatives. We must rather make a different use of the absence of any definition of this cardinal doctrine. It shows that the practice came first, the theory came afterwards, if indeed it can even yet be said to be quite come. Arrogant pontiffs presumed to act as if they were infallible, and the necessity of justifying their conduct demands a theory that they really are so. But the lateness of the theory, which even yet is not included in the formula that converts must prescribe, is proof enough that from the beginning it was not so.